Hi, I am so happy to be here today. My name is Annie Fitzsimmons with AFAR Media, and I'm here with Sandra Weinacht, who is the co-founder and owner of a family-run travel company called Inside Europe, and she's done it for more than 20 years. And prior to that, she's a journalist by trade and originally from Germany. And I love, Sandra, that you say that you're matchmakers and storytellers, and you plan trips to people in Europe, including largely or a large part of it in Germany as well. And I love that you say that. So thank you so much for being here today with me.
Hi, Annie. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it means a lot to talk about my homeland and also, one of my favorite destinations by choice these days. Absolutely.
Yes. And you're also a big foodie. Even your Instagram is My Travelicious Life. So we're going to talk a lot about that too, about how to see a destination through its food. So my first question, you, like I said, you're this total foodie. You love the food culture in Germany. We all know pretzels and beer and sauerkraut and bratwurst. But can you talk, some of your favorite things about the German food culture and maybe some regional differences that you've noticed?
Sure. Yeah. So I think the biggest surprise for people traveling to Germany is that, yeah, everybody wants to try bratwurst or sauerkraut, but they vary from like town to town. And even within the towns, the bratwurst recipe should never be the same from any butcher or any restaurant. And that makes it really, really exciting. Personally, the first thing I crave when I get off the plane is bread. Also the pretzels, but it's the bread. It's the dark bread. It's the sourdoughs. It's the rice. And you'll see that the regional differences are tremendous again. So for example, in the South, caraway is really predominant in a lot of the breads. Now, I personally don't care for it that much. I like it more on like a Seele, which you have in Freiburg. It's like a skinny breadstick that's topped with salt and caraway on top. So that's really, really nice. Yeah, so for me, bread is one of the big things. And I think there's an effort to make German bread UNESCO World Heritage.
Okay.
Because there's so many variations.
Yes.
I think another favorite of mine truly is veggies. I love veggies, and people probably don't think Germans like veggies or salad. We really, really do. The Haxen and all these heavy meals, that's something special. That's on a Sunday. And there's quite a big vegetarian vegan culture these days. And let's take Würzburg, for example, a city that is known for its Schäufele, which is like a beautiful heavy pork roast, usually with dumplings and cabbage. But then next door is a wonderful place where you can get gluten-free chickpea pancakes with a raspberry coulis that's sugar-free. And so I think that's truly what makes it exciting and surprising. And then last but not least, the internationality of German food. A lot of our chefs, be it, the ones in food trucks to the Michelin star ones, have diverse backgrounds. They may be immigrants, or they may have come from another country to work in a hotel and then open up a restaurant. So there's a lot of different influences. One of my favorite Michelin star chefs is actually Italian.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and do you think, the beer culture that Germans are known for, you can't, of course, generalize with everyone, but do people still like the beer culture and enjoy that in addition to their food and drink or their food?
Absolutely. They do, but surprisingly enough, and I'm not a numbers person here, but I believe the statistics say that Germans actually consume more wine than beer per capita. And but back to the beer. My husband is a total beer lover, and so is Sasha, who I believe you talked with as well. I like wheat beers. And then even there's so many variations. There are the wheat beers that are more on the banana profile. Then there's the others with the clove flavor. And regionally, again, seasonally, there's Winterbock right now. So if we're looking at what to try, this is the beer to have in winter. Then there's the Märzens, there's the Lenten beers, where the monks, gave up eating for Lent, but they didn't give up drinking.
It's like a meal in itself.
Well, in Germany, there's the saying, we say 4 beers a meal, the nutritional value, but then you have to drink something with that.
I've never heard that. That's great.
Oh
That's
yeah, no, that's often the case. And so back to the culture part of that. So what I do enjoy is when going to Germany, it is very common to have a glass of wine or beer with your lunch. We have the tradition of Frühschoppen. I mean, a second breakfast with like Weißwurst, Brezen, and Weissbier. Oh, it's amazing. Who wouldn't like that?
a
And then
second
brunching.
breakfast. Wait, so you have your breakfast in the morning and then you have another one.
Yeah, on Sundays usually, or any day can be Frühschoppen if you're on vacation and not working and not driving.
Okay. And it's usually like at 11 or.
Exactly. You have to be careful with the Weisswurst though. So the Weisswurst is not to be ordered after 11 because in the old days it was made very fresh, very early in the morning, and then without refrigeration, it would go bad. So in some beer gardens or restaurants that take it absolutely serious, you will not get Weisswurst after a certain time.
That's funny. That's like in Italy where you can't have the cappuccino afternoon. So
Exactly.
that's similar. Okay, I'm hungry now. Sorry. So you advocate a lot for sustainability by taking the roads less traveled. And I mean, how do you think a destination like Germany helps to make a trip more in line with preserving these places that we love so much and keeping it sustainable?
I think it's also part of the culture, and I'll come back to the food aspect of it. A lot of local consummation, meaning that, people go to the markets, they shop, right? The markets are usually, and that's something people have to visit and check out. They're usually very beautiful in the city centers, usually the historical squares. And you can get anything there from, fresh produce to bakery goods, to cheeses, to butcher products, those little warm sausages that everybody loves. And so I think that's one of the parts. Then people, walk a lot more. And us advocating for more sustainable travel is also don't do, oh, it's Tuesday, I must be in Berlin. No, go for 3 nights in Trier. Stay in town, take the train, get the city card, use the public transportation to explore. Or the same thing in Freiburg. So you can be based in a beautiful place and you can still venture out. You can go even over the border to France or to Switzerland. And I think that's part of sustainable travel. And to know also that the bus that you're getting on, if you're the first customers, they're not going to switch on the engine and blast the exhaust and the air conditioning, if they even have exhaust. A lot of transportation is now electric in Europe, as you know, but also in Germany. So I think that's a big part. And
Yes.
Travelers, they can partake in that by purchasing a city card that gives them free transportation along with access to beautiful monuments, some special tips, sometimes wine tastings.
Included. I love it.
Included, exactly.
Well, that's something actually, I mean, I haven't thought about either because Germany, of course, is this time of year known for Christmas markets, but you're talking about markets that are all year round, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's great for people watching, and you can just sit. Usually there's an ice cream parlor or a cafe somewhere nearby, and you can have your morning breakfast right there or at the bakery, and then watch the locals go shopping and find unique souvenirs. I mean, I love bringing home non-perishable food items, be it a special seasoning mix, so you can relive those memories when you get home. And I think that's also an aspect of sustainability by supporting the true local economy versus major chain stores and retailers. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you split your time between the Carolinas and California. And of course, they're originally from Germany and you go back there often. So, and you mentioned bringing home non-perishable food items. I mean, do you cook at home, German food?
Oh yeah, all the time. And and having now not being able to travel, having that pantry with those little things that just bring back those flavors, that means a lot. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's kind of like being there in a way.
big advice for people that love wine and beer that they may not know. So there are wine and beer suitcases that you can take with you, and if you have an extra suitcase to check on the way home, you can bring more than just that one bottle of alcohol with you. You just have to pay a small amount of duty on top, because that's, I think, another special way of bringing things home for the people that may not be able to go. You can buy wines and beers that you just can't buy in the US because, again, the Germans support very much their own economy, and a lot of products are just not exported because they don't have to.
Yes, absolutely. I think I still have some German mustards that I brought home. So yes,
They
but that's a great
can
tip on the wine.
Yeah,
Sorry.
while we're talking about historic highlights, sorry about that. Yeah, so the mustard cities, Regensburg and Erfurt, for example, they have some very unique small mustard production.
Ah,
And that's a
I didn't
great
realize
souvenir
that.
to bring home.
Regensburg and Erfurt.
Yeah, and I'll be happy to provide you with a list of all those places where you can get those magical little things in the historic highlights too.
Yes, yes. No, I would love that. And dip, find the Wurst here in London, and then dip it into the German mustard. So, I mean, you've talked about too, I mean, you plan so many trips to Italy and France and Germany, but how, of course, people love Italy and France and they want to go there. But when they come home, you ask them what was your favorite part. And so often they say Germany. So why do you think that is?
Because I think Germany is one of the underdogs. It's one of those, everybody, yeah, okay, there's castles, and yes, there's, the sauerkraut and the bratwurst and the beer. But that savoir-vivre, that dolce vita, that people only assume you find in France or in Italy, you have that in Germany. And the regional differences, the celebrations, there's so many festivals. Unfortunately, not right now, even though some of them are celebrated virtually, which is also really nice. Let's take Tübingen as an example. The Chocolate Festival, it's a celebration dedicated to chocolate.
Oh, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, and that usually takes place on the squares with a big market, but also in the restaurants and the retailers. So they've taken that to a COVID physical distance appropriate level with even a choco taxi that brings you the chocolate goods if you don't feel comfortable going out right now to get them yourself. So I think that's something truly unique when you go, and that's what surprises the people. It surprises them how many little events are happening. Everybody knows Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Yes. And I met my husband at Oktoberfest, so I will never ever say anything
That's
bad
a whole
about
other story.
That's a whole other story. I don't even drink beer, at least not the one there. But there's Kiliani, which is a beer festival that takes place in Würzburg in July. And it's hundreds and hundreds of years older than the Oktoberfest, and has been around. And it's much smaller, much more contained and accessible. There's no hour-long waiting in line, and you will get into the one cool tent and have fun with the locals, be part of the group. And then parallel, so this makes it the even best part of my world, there's a wine festival up on the hill in Wein am Stein with rock bands and, gourmet food that comes in like a little Vespa box. So everybody in the family can be happy. The kids can have the carnival and the rides. Then, hopefully grandma and grandpa watch them in the hotel as mommy and daddy either go to the beer festival at night or then up to the mountain and celebrate the wine festival.
I love that. And I mean, even just hearing you talk about it just makes me want to go. I mean, I think it's so great. And of course, you're talking about seeing a destination through its food and through its culture, through these events and meeting people. And yeah. So, I mean, that actually leads me to my last question, which is, what are some of your favorite experiences in Germany? And you've mentioned, of course, a few already, but do you have any others that you can think of and recommend?
Yeah, I think the Christmas markets, if you have not yet experienced any of the other festivals and you want to just start somewhere, it is the Christmas markets. They're just so magical. Let me take Heidelberg as an example, another historic highlight city, where the Christmas markets are spread throughout town. There used to be one up at the castle as well. There's an ice skating ring, and you just stroll through the historical city center. And at every little big square, there's these booths that offer you wonderful food, artisan souvenirs, product, rides for the kids. And I think, the Christmas market, the chocolate festivals, there's so many. There's I think even the German National Tourism Board doesn't know exactly how many events are taking place every single year. Another one of my favorites is, everybody knows Beaujolais Nouveau and know that that's celebrated in France. Well, we have Neuer Wein in Germany, which is new wine, fermented grape juice, not bottled, unless, it's just put in a bottle so that you can take it easier home. And that's delicious. And then you get like an onion, Zwiebelkuchen, onion tart, or Flammkuchen alongside. And again, that can be a big event, just like at the Wurstmarkt, which is the sausage festival that takes place in my home region in Bad Dürkheim early in September. but then there's all these small villages where the soccer club, the dance team, they all take over somebody's old farm stand, and just home cooked food, benches, and fresh wine that does give you a headache the next morning if you go for the high octane one. But it's all worth it.
It's all worth it. It's all worth it. And I mean, that's cool too. A sausage festival right near your hometown.
Yeah, it's only called the Sausage Festival. It actually is a wine festival. It's the world's largest wine festival, but it's called Wurstmarkt, sausage market.
Oh, that's funny. So it's a wine festival, but called. Okay. Nice. Well, and the Christmas markets too. I mean, do you have your travelers that you work with? Do you have people just say, I just want to go from Christmas market to Christmas market?
Yes. And I think a good way, especially for first-time travelers, to do so is a river cruise. Because that's a very easy way to access and see a lot of the towns that are really, really well known. At the same time, those Christmas markets that only take place one weekend in the whole period, those are the true magical ones sometimes. I love the Würzburger Christmas market, Trier, Rostock is magical. They're all magical.
Yeah.
But yes, so if people have not yet been to Germany and they're totally into Christmas, that's the time to go, and that's the events to see. But then there's also Easter markets.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Any reason we will take in Germany to turn it into a festival, to eat, drink, and have a great time.
So it's just centered around eggs instead of glühwein or
yeah, eggs, lamb. Then there's the white asparagus. Oh, how could I forget about that? That's one of my absolute favorites. White asparagus. And then there's the Spargelfest, where you then get asparagus in all its variation, with schnitzel, with ham, with sauce hollandaise, on a Flammkuchen. I could go on and on. Now I'm hungry too.
Yes. Well, that's so true. The white asparagus is a very German, and that's in the spring, right? Of course, around Easter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Actually, it's after Easter. It usually starts in May and then ends towards the end of June. So it's very seasonal,
short,
fairly restricted, because after that, it just doesn't taste the same anymore.
Yeah. Well, Sandra, thank you so much. I could talk to you for a long time about food, and I'm definitely going to make some German dishes in the next few weeks, inspired by our talk. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that one day we can hang out in Germany.
Thank you, Annie. I look forward to that. Dankeschön. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.
Bye.
Bye.